Welcome back, everybody. We're about to embark on the next leg of our startup journey. And the startups for this phase are as exciting as the ones from the first. I had shared about our first company a little bit earlier today and a bit of a glitch in terms of our planning. But methane is one of the most destructive greenhouse gases in that it creates climate warming much faster. Our first startup for the second phase of the pitches is using methane productively to improve our climate outcomes as opposed to harming them with methane. Ezil from String Bio, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, I guess a disclaimer first is I almost didn't make it here because when EDF said, hey, we're going to have a climate meet, I said, oh, it's going to be a meet with like 10 people in the room. And, you know, for an entrepreneur, time is money. So I said, oh, am I going to go all the way to Mumbai for meeting 10 people? But it's been a pleasant surprise to actually have a quorum in India to be talking about climate. So with that, let me tell you a little bit briefly about what we're doing at String. I think this mission that you see here is not new for the folks in the room. And, you know, for us as well, we're a team of about 60 plus working out of Bangalore that takes this mission very, very seriously, right? A few different aspects about what we do, particularly in the area of redefining manufacturing, really making sustainability market relevant. And in fact, taking some very, very bold bets that allows us to do that. What am I talking about? Well, we are a company that is working to bring what we call our next generation ingredients into various value chains, including food, feed, cosmetics, materials, right? And our story begins with methane, a very, very interesting molecule, but which as mankind today, we only know how to burn methane and derive the energy from it. And as we all know, it is also a very critical pain point when you talk about climate impact because it contributes significantly to global warming. What we are doing at String is we're using this methane as a source of carbon and energy to make our next generation ingredients, right? To do this, we have a very traditional fermentation platform that we've innovated on to enable what we call a gas fermentation process that allows us to work with methane from various sources. Now, what are the kind of ingredients that we're talking about? We can convert methane today into alternative protein that can go into our feed value chain. We can convert it into protein that can go into our food value chain. So instead of beef to methane, we can do methane to beef, chicken, and other protein products. We also convert methane into products that can go into agriculture, into cosmetics. And we do this by enabling a very modular, scalable production manufacturing process. Let me tell you about just one of our products in the interest of time. This is a product called cleaned rice, which is a crop input that we manufacture today. When you use cleaned rice on paddy, there are two big benefits. One, it increases your yield per acre by almost close to 30%. And this we've tested across India and we've been able to show very clear benefits. But second, it can also reduce the methane emission from paddy, which is a huge problem for us, right? And the extent to which this reduction happens is quite significant. COP26 target is to have a 7.5 million ton methane reduction year on year. If you use cleaned rice in just 30% of global paddy fields today, we can reduce or achieve that target by almost 72%. So for something like what we do, there are two key carbon offset benefits. One is at the point of manufacturing, we're converting a greenhouse gas into sustainable products. The second is at the point of use, right? By using our products, we're also able to deliver reduction in carbon emission as well. Well, what are we doing today? We set up a first large-scale manufacturing in Bangalore about 4 years back. Today, we are working with global partners, both on the gas side. These are natural gas players, biogas players. We're also working with strategic partners on the market side, your traditional agrochemical players, traditional meat manufacturers, to scale up our manufacturing in different geographies globally. We are setting up a large-scale manufacturing in Karnataka, and then we're working with partners to put up manufacturing facilities in different parts of the globe today. Clearly, we haven't done this by ourselves. We've got a very strong marquee set of investors backing us. We recently closed a Series B raise led by Australia's largest oil and gas player. We are looking to do a second close of this raise. So I'm here today to talk to investors who want to come into the Series B round. We're also looking to talk to strategic partners together with whom we can scale our solution in different geographies as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Izzy. Earlier today, we had a lot of discussion about the role of batteries in India's green future. Now, one of the challenges with batteries in India's future is how are we going to produce them? And what are we going to do with them when we're done? Loham, our next company, will be speaking to this exactly. Pratyush, if I could invite you up, please.
Hey, hi. So this is Pratyush from Loham. Let's start. So there's a race that's on around the globe. Any country that's serious about its energy security is right now clamoring to get its hand on lithium, cobalt, nickel. And why is this happening? Because there's a very fundamental change that's happening, and it's happening at a rapid speed: electrification. So nickel, cobalt, lithium demand is going to increase by about 10 times in the next 10 years or so. And so where does that leave India? So India doesn't have any reserves. India barely has any refining capacity, and our demand is growing exponentially. So how do we square the circle? What we at Loham believe is that this demand can largely be met through recycling, and there are strong reasons to do so. So globally, if you look at it, around 80 gigawatt hours of batteries will go into recycling in 2025, and Indian government has set a target of 50 gigawatt hours of production in the PLI scheme. So if you do the math, if we can make India a recycling hub, we can meet our domestic demands through recycling entirely. Obviously, there will be other players involved as well. But you can see that there's a significant chunk that can be met through recycling. So how do we do this? At Loham, what we have done is we have built a fully integrated reuse and recycling capability. Any battery that's going to reach its end of life, whether it's a factory reject, whether it's your field batteries, whether factory scrap, or any battery that comes at the end of life, we'll take it, we will determine the remaining energy throughput, we'll put it for reuse if needed, or we'll recycle and extract the chemicals out of them and put it back into the lithium-ion battery value chain. Right now, we have the capability to recycle around 1 gigawatt hours of batteries, and we have the capability to reuse around 300 megawatt hours of batteries annually. This number is obviously going to grow rapidly, around 20x in the next 5 years, maybe even more. So the thing that differentiates us is our technology. We can extract 95% of the material in one shot. Obviously, it's a circuit, so we'll extract 100% over its lifetime. We have globally lowest capex, so our processes are both economically and energy-wise very efficient. We have very low energy consumption. We use hydrometallurgical techniques, and we have modified them further to use as little energy as possible. And all this technology has been developed in-house. All the equipments have been developed in-house, and everything has been manufactured in India. And on the safety side, we are building a bunch of technologies for safe transportation of end-of-life batteries in low oxygen environment. And we are also building solutions to trace these batteries end to end so that any partner who comes on with us has full visibility on whatever happens to the feedstock. On the environmental side, recycling reduces your emissions in cell production by around half. Reuse reduces it by 97%. Recycling also reduces water consumption by about 100 times, like a hundredth of water consumption that you'll get from brine solutions. On the employment front, we are going to create around 30,000 direct and indirect jobs over the next 5 years. So what am I looking for here? I want everyone in the ecosystem to work with us. So whether you're an OEM or a fleet operator or a battery manufacturer or a cell manufacturer or an EV financier or a power company, there's something that's there for all of you. We provide the best salvage value. We take the headache of your EPR responsibilities. We provide raw materials for your cathode, anode, and cell manufacturing needs. And we provide low-cost energy solutions. So if you want to work with us, join us. We have experienced founders, a solid team, cutting-edge technology, and we have presence across the globe. We are based out of NCR, and we have some presence in the US, and we are expanding globally to the US and to the EU as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Pratyush. As we move on to the next company, we'll be looking at a company that is creating a very, very common chemical used for many manufacturing processes across beauty products, food care, and all sorts of other things. But they're doing so in a green way, completely from waste. Tanmay from Bristol, please join.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tanmay from Bristol Technologies. So let me tell you a story of one of my friends based in Punjab. He runs a factory, and to meet its energy requirement, they use biomass, rice husk. But when they burn this rice husk in their boilers or gasifiers, the process generates ash. And their factory is generating 50 tons of ash every day, and they don't know what to do with it because it doesn't have any commercial applications. So like everything else, they are dumping it in the open grounds, causing pollution and impacting the health of the people. There are many such people who are facing this problem. In fact, this problem is so big that 20 billion kilograms of ash is generated every year, which is dumped in the open ground and causes environment and health impact. And there was no solution for that. But we at Bristol has developed a technology which can solve this problem. So we have developed a chemical process which is already patented, which can use this ash and can convert it into precipitated silica and byproducts. It's a zero waste process. And then the question comes, what to do with this precipitated silica and what it is. So let me explain. So this silica is one of the most commonly used chemical which we use every day, starting from toothpaste to soap to food to paints and coatings, footwear, tire, everywhere. It is one of the key raw material used. But as of today, it is produced from a very environment polluting process where river mined sand is used as a key source for silica, which is converted into precipitated silica at very energy intensive process, emitting a lot of carbon into the system. The silica is one of the biggest consumed chemical as of today. In comparison, our silica, which is produced from rice husk ash, have multiple advantages. Our silica can replace the conventional silica directly. It gives similar or better performance, but at the same time, it is available at similar or lesser cost or lesser price. But the biggest advantage is the environment impact. Every ton of silica produced from our process can save more than 10,000 kilograms of carbon emission as compared to the conventional silica. it definitely impacts the users of silica because it can reduce their carbon emission. It can help improve their ESG reports and help them in achieving their carbon emission reduction targets. Due to these advantages, all the silica consuming companies are looking for a greener alternative are working with us. We are already working with more than 10 Fortune 500 companies as on today who have either approved our product or at the trial phase. We have distributors present in 12 countries, and this number is increasing every day. The total silica demand from the companies with whom we are working is more than 0.25 million tons. We have one factory operational since 2018. From that factory, we have consumed more than 1 million kilograms of rice husk ash, which has saved more than 5 million kilograms of carbon emission. And this is the image of our new factory, which can consume 15 million kilograms of rice husk ash every year. We have been awarded by many national and international agencies and companies. What we are trying to do is that we are trying to build 3 more factories in next 1 year. Each would be consuming between 15 million kilograms to 20 million kilograms of rice husk ash. And it will have an impact of 3 million kilograms of carbon emission savings. So what are we here for? We are looking for the partners who can fund these projects. And we are also looking for the partners, strategic partners who use silica in their product. We can work with them, replace their conventional silica with our green silica, and help them in achieving their carbon emission reduction targets. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanmay. Isil and Pratyush, if you'd like to come up just very quickly. We are running a little bit behind, so we'll try to keep this question and answer very quick. Each of you is working with a type of commodity. And because of that, there can be certain cost pressures on you. Can you speak a little bit to how, and there's generally an assumption that green products are not economically viable. Can you speak to how your businesses are economically viable while also making environmental impact and competing in open markets?
Sure. So for us, fundamentally, one of the ethos and in our design has been, how do we make sustainability market relevant? What do we mean by that is, can you actually get to a point where you don't need to pay a higher cost for green, is what we look to do. And one of the advantages of using methane, which even with rising natural gas prices today, is the cheapest forms of carbon available. When you use methane as a carbon source and you enable these products, there's also actually a cost advantage in how these products are getting manufactured. And so that is fundamentally in the design, because we believe that green products also have to be economically viable. And today we are economically viable even without taking some of the carbon offset benefits in. So when we are able to take that in, now with carbon markets opening up in India, that's actually will be an icing on the cake for us.
Yeah, so one thing we learned during our entrepreneurial journey is that no matter how much carbon positive you are, it has to be better priced than the conventional alternative. People or the companies are there to make profits. They are not going to pay extra money. So during the journey, we made sure that whatever we are making, it should be greener, but at the same time, it should not have any burden on the cost or price for the customer. So that's we have achieved. And as we go along, as there is a carbon price now, it is going to be a better situation for us.
So we are very much focused on sustainability. And when we talk about sustainability, economic sustainability is a part of it. For us, at least, we have been very fortunate because in our industry, there's a huge and growing demand for the commodity that we sell. And you can think of batteries as ores and very high concentration ores. So when we are competing with your typical mining industry, we have the advantage of a very high quality feedstock. And through our superior technology, we can extract a much higher quality material. And there are far too many takers for it right now, and we are just trying to ramp up capacity. So I would say we have been a bit lucky in that regard.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Efficiencies in transport can lead to huge environmental benefits. When we look at urban planning technologies, up to 30% of transport-related emissions can be reduced just by better urban planning. Our next startup is using a similar methodology to reduce the emissions of heavy freight in the logistics marketplace. Vikas from Freight Fox, please.
Good evening, everyone. Benefits of starting late. I have had the opportunity to meet a lot of you. Would love to meet many more of you in this journey. So I come from Gurgaon, as you all know, and as we've discussed throughout the day. Gurgaon sees one of the highest pollutions during winters. It was ranked as the most polluting city in the world in 2018, and transportation actually contributes a significant amount of that pollution, right? And as you know, India moves about 4,500 billion tons of goods and burns about 35 billion liters of diesel annually. And majority of that is consumed by manufacturers. At FreightFox, we came up with a solution which we call as LEAP. LEAP is FreightFox's logistics emissions abatement platform. LEAP is basically a three-pronged approach to abatement of emissions, which basically means measure, move, motivate. And I'll take you through all of these. What you see here on the map is a operation of a large Indian beer manufacturer. This manufacturer is basically adding about 9,000 metric tons of CO2, plying 30,000 trucks, carrying 3.17 million hectoliter of beer. What is very surprising to see that when we have BS6 norms or Euro 6 equivalent norms in the country, 75% of the total trucking capacity is actually BS2 and BS3. 55% is over 10% is over 10 years of age, and this is after a lot of cities coming up with scrappage policies, restricting trucks with diesel, or restricting diesel trucks to enter the cities, right? And 96% still use diesel, though we have a decent CNG network. So the manufacturer gets access to his complete network's visibility through this. Then comes the move part of it. We give the transporter complete access to understand what is the CNG network available to him, to ply his CNG trucks. Also, what you see here is actually a pump which is delivering something called as renewable natural gas, or CBG, which is basically produced through digestion of either agri waste or cow dung, right? He also gets access to alternate fuels like the CBG, which is basically zero carbon fuels, and can bring down CO2 emissions significantly. Also, we give them, this is the fuel. This is how the fuel is produced through in the digestion process, and significantly contributes to about 14% reduction for the manufacturer. We also motivate the transporter here by he gets something very similar to our credit card points. Every time he plies a greener truck on the network, and he can redeem these miles for various benefits that the manufacturer can offer to him. Through this, FreightFox in the next 3 years wants to reduce at least 5 million tons of CO2 from the Indian transportation space, which is basically equivalent to 80 million seedlings planted over 10 years. We invite you to leap onto this journey along with us. As investors, as manufacturers, you're all welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikas. Not all plastics are created equal, and we've heard a little bit about this through the day. Some plastics are more likely to make microplastics. Some plastics are harder to recycle. Some plastics are harder to recover. Lucro, our next startup, is working on this problem. Pratibha, if I could invite you up, please.
Hi, so I handle the sustainability at Lucro, and we are very excited by being given this opportunity to present our solution, which is a small part in the climate crisis that we're hoping to solve. So earlier today, we heard in the introduction that EDF was really excited about the opportunity in India, where most companies are looking at the economic viability of sustainable solutions. And we are one such company and we look at every aspect of our value chain with the lens of whether this is environmentally sustainable, whether this is socially sustainable, and whether it is economically sustainable. Because we truly believe that if something is not economically sustainable, there's no way we're going to be able to see through it in the long run and make the kind of impact that we want to make. Now, I would like to bring your focus to the fact that, as Starlene earlier mentioned, 80% of the kind of waste that we handle in our value chain is purely flexible plastic waste. This is the waste that is mostly ignored by waste pickers, ignored by aggregators, and ignored by other people in the value chain because it does not have a lot of intrinsic value attached to it. I mean, I know we also heard earlier that India has about 70% recycling rates. Now, while that might be true for rigid plastics, it is absolutely not true for flexible plastics. I think flexible has a collection or a recycling rate of about 10% or lesser than that in India. And that is why we are purely focusing on flexible plastic waste more than anything else. Oops. Right. So that was about the problem. We all know the kind of mounting problems that plastic waste obviously has in our country, or globally, in fact. The solution to this problem, and something which is also a market opportunity, the solution is obviously recycling this kind of plastic. And the kind of market opportunity that is there in place is with the new EPR policies that have come into place, which we again heard about, which mandates the use of flexible and rigid plastic waste in your final packaging. And the kind of demand that we foresee something like this will have is about 3 million metric ton by, I think, 2025. Now, I would like to talk about what we are doing and what Lucro's sort of waste value chain looks like. We handle the entire spectrum of the waste value chain. Our work starts from collection of plastic waste. We have about 10 collection centers pan-India. Where we work with waste pickers, we work with aggregators, we work with NGOs, and we work with a number of municipalities as well to collect plastic waste. This plastic waste comes into our own segregation facilities where it's segregated into sort of various categories to make sure that we get the best quality final product. This is where our sort of material science division comes into play as well. We are a company which is heavily focused on material science. Which again means that we are able to make sure that the quality of the end product or the final packaging that we make is optimal because of the various processes that we follow. We have our own washing lines, which is probably the largest waste washing line in India right now, which is capable of doing about 10,000 metric tons per year. We have our own deodorizing, we have our own de-inking, again, to make sure that the quality of the waste is improved through our value chain. All of this gets recycled in our own recycling facilities into granules, which is then we work very closely with brands to make sure that we're able to design the end material or the end packaging for them based on their specifications and something that would give them the sort of maximum value output as well. When we are designing over here, you have to, again, you have to sort of keep in mind that not only are we designing, making sure that we're using post-consumer recycled waste, but we are also making plastic, which is 100% recyclable after end of life. So essentially making sure that everything is part of the circular economy as well. This is then sold to brand, and then that waste is created. And like I said, because what we are making is 100% recyclable, all of it can be collected back into our own value chain. All of this is again mapped by technology, again in our own systems. I know you can't really see it here, but We have something like this, where a QR code can be printed on the final packaging, which gives you the complete chain of command of the sort of entire, all the touch points of the facilities where this waste has been until it's been made into a final product. This is just to give you a quick idea into the kind of packaging we have. About 60% of what we do is exported, and it's a completely internal, integrated, well-integrated solution that we have. And again, the brands in the bottom that you can see that we currently supply to. I'm going to skip that and I'm going to come right here. This is the kind of capacity growth that we've had over the last few years. We've had 2 rounds of investment by Circulate Capital, and you can see that the kind of capacity that we've seen increased over the last 3 years is by 7 times. We're currently capable of doing about 28,000 metric tons per year. But with the new EPR guidelines, this is the kind of demand that we see. And I know you can't see the little green bars down there, but we are only capable of currently with our capacities fulfilling about 2% of the total demand that is going to be around by 2025. So we are essentially looking at increasing our capacities as well. This is the kind of environmental impact that we've been able to have. The small sort of gray circles that you see is the production increment that we've had over the last few years. And along with that, you can see the sort of carbon emissions that we've been able to save. Anywhere between, I think, 1.3 to 1.5 tons of carbon can be saved per ton of flexible plastic waste that we recycle. So I'd just like to end it here with the fact that we've only about scratched the surface with the kind of demand that we have in the market. And we are looking for partners, we're looking for investors to make sure that we can increase this capacity. Any multinational company at the moment has anywhere between 5,000 to 20,000 metric tons per year of demand. And we have a number of contracts, etc., also in place, which want to see that we're able to supply more. So which is why we're looking at increasing our capacities. And we'd love to talk to you if you would like to come to our booth and know more about us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pratibha. Our next company is looking at the problem of over-fertilization and the impact it has not only on food security, but also on topics like water, air, and how we think about the future of agriculture. There's huge economic impacts that come from over-fertilization and the use of subsidy by the government. And so with that, I'd like to invite up Dr. Kavita from FIBSA.
Am I audible now? Good evening, all of you. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm the last speaker of today. I don't know how many of you are still present here. But anyways, I am Dr. Kavita Saira, founder CEO of FIBSA Life Technologies. So I have a PhD in biotechnology and a postdoc from IIT Madras, which means I have a passion in the subject. So that's what we use as a team in order to redefine the way agri-inputs go. Agri-inputs are applied using smarter technology. So what is that we do at FIBSA? That is very close to my heart. Now, I'm from Tamil Nadu. So this is the state map of Tamil Nadu that you see here, where we understand that 90% of the state is deficient in nitrogen, which means, and this is also a global scenario today, which means we have a huge demand to apply chemical fertilizers. Today, we are applying 4-fold higher chemical fertilizers than the recommended dose. So by applying more, we are actually depriving the soil of its natural ecosystem, and we are making it more, unhealthy. So in other terms, the plants aren't able to utilize the nutrition, even if we apply higher amount of chemicals, which means we have a poor yield and a low quality food. So the food we eat today isn't healthier and isn't safer with more and more of chemicals. Now, what is the alternative to this? Is there a biological solution? So we have to become biological in order to come out of this. So now you see here, Fibzol is offering a solution. And this photograph you see where I stand next to a tomato plant is very close to my heart. Have any of you seen a 7-foot tomato plant in your life? So this is it. I'm at least 5.2. So this is 7 foot. And this is what this farmer was able to achieve even after reducing his chemicals by 60%. So he reduced his chemicals by 60% and added Fibzol, and his plants grew phenomenally well because biologicals makes the soil better. And now that is the answer. That's the solution. You can still reduce chemicals and get good produce. Now there are other happy stories. Now you see all these farmers were able to reduce their chemical inputs by 50% and increase their yield by 30%. And they were, of course, able to increase their income. And I don't have to mention about the produce quality. The shiny tomatoes speak for themselves. Now, what is that we are doing? What is that Fibzol is offering? So this is our product. So have you ever seen an agricultural input at this size? So I'm going to say this is sufficient for an acre. So 100 ml of our product is sufficient to fertilize an acre of land. It would help you to reduce the chemicals, and it would actually improve the soil quality, and it leaves minimal carbon footprint, and it is water soluble and biodegradable. So this is one of the most less weight or the less bulkier biofertilizers or biologicals that is available in the market. What is that is enabling this? So the technology is we are actually encapsulating 10,000 billion cells in lightweight biodegradable polymers. And this is a patented technology. To understand it better, you can see the graph in the right. So the blue color line is actually Fibzol product, and the red is a commercial product, competitive in the market, which means biologicals are already available in the market. But what is the challenge? Now, the blue color line actually depicts the number of bacteria in the product. Now you see Fibzol is 1 lakh times more bacteria when compared to the commercial products. And the stability of this bacteria is almost a year, whereas I don't have to mention, the commercial products have a lesser shelf life. And this is the reason why biologicals are a failure, or people aren't, or farmers are retorting back to chemicals in other ways. Now this is what we offer at Fibzol. Now, what is the connection between reducing your chemical fertilizers and what am I doing in climate tech? Because manufacturing of 1 ton of chemical actually leads to 1.5 ton of carbon dioxide emission. And I'm going to tell another interesting factor. By applying more of biologicals, I think you have heard Dr. Erils speaking. So she was mentioning something about methane, right? So the methane goes down. The carbon dioxide emissions goes down in paddy field is exactly what biologicals can do to the field. So when you apply biological products, your carbon dioxide emission, there's a carbon dioxide sequestration that can happen because there are bacteria which can actually fix the carbon back into the soil. So these are the advantages by reducing chemicals and increasing biologicals. So now you can improve your soil quality, you can improve your water quality because leaching is prevented. More chemicals, more leaching into water, that is protected. And the air quality, of course, is improved. So this is what Fibzol can do. And the right side picture, I don't even have to say which is Fibzol and control, though I have mentioned it there. The greener, the more chlorophyll is Fibzol. Actually, when we go to a village, we just say by color, which is Fibzol field. So that is what Fibzol is giving us today. You know what is a market opportunity? I'm talking too much about biologicals. What is it? It is because India is the second largest agricultural country, and today there is a mandate to shift to biologicals because of the global crisis that is happening, and there's going to be a shortage of fertilizer import and raw materials. Now, the regulatory approvals are also more in favor of biologicals. So we need biological soil amendments to improve the soil quality and even to increase the nutritional absorption or the nutritional availability of other chemicals or other substances we're going to put into the field. And also export quality produce they have lowered the minimum residue levels, which means we have to shift to biologicals immediately. Now, this is our journey at Fibzol, and this is what we are aiming to do. Now, in this journey of ours, we are backed up by eminent and reputed technical institutes like Indian Council of Agricultural Research, and also by some of the reputed VCs in the country. And why am I here? So this is one of our brand ambassador farmer, Zakir Hussain, very happily using Fibzol, and he keeps promoting Fibzol. This smile on his face and this luster on is produced. This is what we want to see across the globe. And today, we are determined to make India agriculturally sustainable. And in our mission of this, we welcome you to join us technically and commercially as our partners and make this dream come true for all of us. Let us make this world a better place for you and for me and for the entire human race. So most of you must be knowing this song, which is very close to my heart again. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you. Please. Yes. Dr. Kevite, Pratibha, and Vikas, if you could come up, please. Now, one common thread with each of your startups is you're working in markets that are otherwise quite distributed, quite fragmented. Can you each share one of the things that you've worked on or how you've worked with the communities to try to overcome this and help get environmental solutions to the masses?
I can start. So I think one of the ways that we did that is initially when we started off, we were only processing, we were just the converters of plastic and we didn't see a lot of value addition there. But what we did over the years is made sure that we get really well integrated as a company. We set up our own recycling, we set up our own sort of backend collection as well, where today we've been able to set up about 10 different collection centers where we're collecting from a number of people, which includes waste pickers, includes municipalities, includes brands, includes NGOs, etc. So I think well integration, which has helped us also make sure that we're able to keep our costs down and we're able to see good profit margins versus, our products are very cost comparable with virgin plastic. We're always lesser than that. So we've seen brands adopt our solution really well, even before the policies came into place. So yeah, good integration.
For us, though it is a fragmented market, there is no attempt of reducing that fragmentation, first of all. We in general are empowering the transporters by giving them access to better fuel. As an advantage to us, this is also a cheaper fuel. He's saving money. The manufacturers end up saving money. So it's an ecosystem which is empowered overall through the solution.
So yeah, biologicals is a very fragmented market because there are no stringent regulations. So one thing is we are trying to fit ourselves into whatever regulations are available today. So that is one challenge that we have, in fact, that has to be sorted out, which we are bringing out in many forums. And the other fragmentation is the market itself, because biologicals today aren't being sold by big networks. So that is another issue we have. But we have identified certain partners, like the farmer producing organizations, which the policies are being made. And even recently, there was news that around 10,000 farmer producing organizations are going to be put up across the country. So that is what we are actually backing on in order to make it a bit more less fragmented at this point of time. But I think the future is for biologicals, and I'm expecting more of policies on this. And it would be better. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we have a little bit of extra time for this group. So one more question from my side. Each of you is looking at raising funds in the sometime near future or has recently raised funds. We have a handful of investors still in the room. So can you please talk a little bit about your own experience with investment in this space and what you would like to see or how you would like to interact with investors?
So we are in the middle of a fundraise, and we are raising our pre-series A round currently. We have commits, and we would be closing the round in the next 30 odd days. The biggest challenge that we've seen being from the logistic industry is there are perceptions in the VC ecosystem because of what has happened so far with some of the large names in the industry. But having said that, we have got some backers and confidence in us.
So I think someone had touched on this topic earlier that historically we've not seen a lot of funds that were interested in climate tech space, but obviously the things have changed in the last few years. We've ourselves raised 2 rounds from Untitled Chapter. And what we see with every fundraise is that There's a lot of growing demand within our sector at the moment. And every time we raise a fund, we're able to increase capacities through which we're able to serve more customers. And even though we're able to do that sort of exponentially at the moment, we're still falling short of the kind of demand that the market has seen at the moment, purely because everyone is very active about sort of at least using recycled plastic or making sure that, we're able to find a solution to plastic as a sort of find a solution to plastic. So yeah, I think to answer your question, we're looking for investments because we want to make sure that capacity can keep increasing. We have the right kind of customers. I think even within their spaces, the customers are all eager and waiting for solutions, but you need to pump in a little more money to increase capacities.
Yeah, just to add on to what she says, and also a little bit of difference in opinion, because agriculture today is flooded with a lot of products. And a farmer is not he is not aware of what is good and what is bad. And for farmer, it's nothing to do with the climate impact. It's his bread and butter. So it's his everyday life. So there's a small difference in this. So convincing a farmer to use a product like this, right? So I had a chance to show one of our products to our PM in one of the event in IIT Madras. The first question, the only question he asked me was, farmers are used to bulky materials. How can he get convinced with such small material? So this question was asked by our current Prime Minister to me. So that keeps echoing in my mind. So actually today we are trying to do that. Of course, there are some funds that are supporting us to do this, to showcase that such a small product can definitely produce an effect on the field is what we need to showcase and actually retain the farmer. So here there's a problem of retention of our customer because there are a lot of other products that is flooded in the market. So they keep trying different things because for them, even if they get a little bit of yield increase, they are happy. So somewhere we need to position ourselves strongly, which we are backing on our technology. So today, for us to demonstrate this and build our own sales channels to retain the farmers is where we need to park our funds. But once we have done that, I think biology is the next rule of the world. So definitely we would have better marketplaces for us, which also we need to create. So that is where I'm looking for investment partners. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We have a couple more minutes before we're joined by Mr. Sinha. If there are any questions from the audience.
From the audience, because Mr. Sinha is in his constituency in Hazaribagh and he's just finished a panchayat meeting and he's on his way back. He's just running a few minutes late. So we could either sit in awkward silence or we could ask questions. The choice is ours.
Okay, Hisham, I'll help you.
Ah, there you go. Anirban's voice. Okay.
So I'm fascinated to know that many of you are in spaces where demand is not a constraint and you can happily sell whatever you're making. I'd be very happy to be in a business like that. But I'm wondering that given the situation you're in, if there is one thing that you want changed, which would help you to grow much faster than you're growing now, what would it be? The answer may be different for all three of you. That's okay, but what would it be?
I think if you'd asked me the same question till about last year, my answer would have been very different. It would have been around policy change. But in the last 1 year, specifically in plastic waste management, we've seen a lot of sort of policies come into place, which, like I said, mandate the use of this to companies as well. What that then does is that companies aren't constantly just looking at the price as a factor. So you're also able to grow as a company. Otherwise, you were constantly pitched against, or we were constantly pitched against virgin plastic only. So we had to always make sure that, we are well below the price point of virgin plastic for anyone to even consider us. So in the last year, that has obviously changed because of these policies in place, and people are more acceptable to you, even if you are at the same price point as virgin, for example. So yeah, that would be my answer.
So in our case, it could be quite surprising, but stringent regulations on biologicals could actually help us grow well, because we are striving here to give good quality products but there are a lot of spurious product in the market today which aren't being regulated. So if there is a stringent regulation on the quality of biologicals, and if those biologicals are subsidized to the farmer after the regulatory approval, I mean, there should be a timely regulation saying that this is definitely the type of organism at the count that we need that is there in the market. And so if such products are subsidized, that is one way the farmer will build credibility on such products. And then he would try to explore this product, because today chemicals are subsidized. And today there are a lot of spurious biological products in the market. So the farmer has lost belief in such products. So if there is a stringent regulation, I still feel that it would help us to grow faster. So we could prove our quality better.
From my side, I would say, as I was saying even earlier, that there is a bit of a perception in the logistics industry in general from the investor side. And if there could be more openness to solutions like ours, because most of this perception is actually created by asset-heavy businesses like the names of Rivigo or others, which have, and ours is not an asset-heavy business at all, right? So that kind of an openness is all we would need to grow faster.
Any more questions?
Thank you. This is for Kavita. Recently, one of the downfalls of Sri Lanka was because they switched to organic. And here you are saying, I mean, I totally believe in what you're saying, but I'm talking about how do you convince people to shift to organic, to biologicals, which I don't know whether it's nearly organic, right? Is it nearly organic?
Yeah, you finish your question.
Yeah. So how do you convince people? Because now people are so set in mind to go into fertilizers and chemical, and the green revolutions which we had was not very scientific if you look at it now, So how do you change mindset with your product?
Yeah. Actually, you have answered the question, because you did hesitate between biological and organic. So yeah, I never said in my entire talk, this is of course an organic product, but if you had noticed carefully, I never said completely organic, or I never said don't use chemicals, or I never mentioned replacement for chemicals, because of course I'm not with it as well. Because with the growing demand, with the growing population, now India is going to be leading the world. So with this amount of population, I don't think taking a completely organic is intelligent step, but by reducing chemicals. So we can reduce chemicals. By doing that, we are going to promote the natural ecosystem in the soil. So that is what we are intending to do. It's going to be an integrated approach rather than saying completely organic. But biologicals is a missing link. It's an essential. Like if I have to go a bit more scientific, you have phosphorus and potassium as chemical, right? In the chemicals. Now, if this has to be converted into a form which the plants can take up, you need bacteria in the soil. What we are saying is we need to provide this bacteria along with the chemicals, but you should give chemicals which would allow this bacteria to survive in the soil. So that level of balance is what we need to maintain. And that needs a lot of scientific approach, like you rightly said. So this has to happen with a lot of integrated knowledge from various sciences, especially the soil science, the bacterial science, the chemical science. So a lot of people should work together in order to come up with this integrated approach. And we at Fibsol do have that versatility currently.
Thank you, Dr. Kavita. Today, we've gotten some great feedback from the startups about what they can do in the market, how they can help corporates achieve their sustainability goals, and what they also need from corporates and investors to be able to succeed and to be able to drive an economic green transition. We've also seen some great startups that are already doing great things in the market. And all of them would like to thank Pariti for her great work putting this together.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you also to the EDF team for the work that you've done to bridge the gap between innovation and industry. And with that, I'll turn over to Hisham.
Thanks so much, Darlene. Thank you for everything that you do as well. This is the penultimate session of the